Now, if you're watching this video, you spend a lot of money on an e-bike like this and you're wondering, what upgrades do I actually need for my bike? What are those essential upgrades that'll actually make a difference? So in today's video, I got 3 upgrades that are absolutely essential for your e-mountain bike, including 1 bonus upgrade that all bikes should have. Woo, there we go. Today's video is brought to you guys by the Outdoor Master Hawk HD mountain bike glasses. Now, I prefer to ride with a clear lens, but the thing I really like about these is they transition from that clear lens right there to the smoked lens when you get out in the sun. Check a link in the description, use that if you guys want to help support the channel. So let's go ahead and start with upgrade number 1, which is pedals. Now, anybody that's bought in a mountain bike knows that it usually doesn't come with pedals, or it comes with a cheap set of like substandard pedals that you're not gonna wanna ride. When I first got this bike, I threw on the Trail One Vortex composite pedals, which I really like those pedals for my trail bike. However, for an e-bike like this, the bike's just quite a bit heavier, which requires a little bit more control when you're bouncing through those rocky sections, or just when you're trying to handle the bike like on an off-cambered trail section. Woo! That's where the bike gets away from you a little bit, that extra weight. I really wanted a little bit more grip, so I switched out the Trail One Vortex pedals and went back to the tried and true Chromag Daga alloy pedals. These pedals are just a little bit heavier, but man, these things have some massive pins on there, super beefy pedals that give you the ultimate grip. Getting the right set of pedals for the type of riding you do, whether you like to clip in or ride flats like me, is essential for mountain biking, but I think it's even more critical for an e-bike like this. With that extra weight, you need that extra control. Now moving on to upgrade number 2, which is the grips. These are my very favorite set of grips, the Hell's Gate grips from Trail One. Now, being up front, I am sponsored by Trail One, so they do offer me, affiliates on this. I have a link in the description if you guys want to help support the channel, but this video isn't about trying to sell you guys on Hell's Gate grips. It's more just talking about what I look for in a grip and why I think it's so critical on an e-bike like this. So the grips that came on this bike actually weren't bad for stock grips. Usually the OEM, the original manufacturer grips that come on your bikes are gonna be, for my preference, just a little bit too thin, and you're probably gonna wanna upgrade those regardless on which type of bike you're riding. But on an e-bike like this, I think it's even more critical to have a nice thick set of grips. Once again, like I said, these bikes are a bit heavier. You're gonna be riding them on longer distances with that battery and that motor. And when you're plowing down through that chunky terrain, it's gonna require just a little bit more grip on those bars. It's gonna fatigue your arms just a little bit more because the bike's heavier. So when it's shaking, it's really vibrating through your arms a lot more. So having the nice padding on the top of those grips, having a thicker set of grips like these Hell's Gate grips right here, is essential for e-bikes, and that's why this is one of the first things that I upgraded on this Polygon Collosus. And now it's time to talk about upgrade number 3, which is the saddle. Now, the saddle that comes stock on this bike is fine for the Polygon Collosus N8E I got, but for riding an e-bike like this, the material on that saddle, that N8E saddle that came on this bike, was just a little bit too slick. It kind of had like this slick material, and I felt myself sliding off the back of the bike. It also was a thin saddle, so not thick enough for riding an e-bike like this. I find on my e-bike, I spend a lot more time in the seated position. Not only am I doing longer rides, but I'm trying to keep my weight on that rear wheel and keep it from spinning out because I got that motor now. For the saddle, I chose the WTB Coda saddle. I like this saddle. It's got that leather material, so haven't found myself slipping off the back. It's got a nice deep channel right there in the middle, thick cushion on the back for those longer rides, and this is definitely an upgrade that I noticed right away climbing up those single track trails. And for that bonus upgrade, I'm talking about the tubeless tire conversion. I got these tubeless valve stems from Trail One pretty cool. I think this color looks really good with the color of that frame right there, but converting your bike to tubeless is something you definitely should do. If your bike comes tubeless ready, like this Polygon N8E did, then it's pretty simple. All you have to do is deflate the tubes that are in there. Now, one little thing I ran into and a tip I got for you guys is have the right tire levers. I really recommend getting yourself a set of Pedro tire levers. They're super durable and they'll make this job a lot easier. And once you get the right set of tire levers, it's pretty easy to get that tire popped off, pull that tube out, throw in those Trail One valve stems, put in the recommended amount of tubeless sealant, and then use a floor pump or an air compressor to pop that tire back on the rim. So pedals, grips, saddle, tubeless tire conversion. Now, if I had to choose between any of these, obviously I would pick the pedals first because most bikes don't come with them, or like I said, they come with a really cheap set of pedals. So pedals is what I would do first. Then I would move on to tubeless tire conversion. Converting your bike to tubeless is gonna really help you enjoy those rides more because you're gonna get less flats and you're gonna be able to dial in that air pressure just the way you want. And then after I did the tubeless tire conversion, that's when I would start looking at things like grips and saddle. Now, between grips and saddle, it really just depends. The saddle that came on this bike, I was slipping off the back a lot, so it really was hurting my rides, especially those climbs. So I probably would upgrade the saddle next. And then grips. Grips is something, it would definitely be on, you know, one of my top 5 upgrades that I would do first on my bike, but the grips that came on this bike weren't horrible, so grips is probably the upgrade that I would do last. But what upgrades have you guys done to your e-bike? Which upgrades would you do first? And do you think there's any of these upgrades I mentioned that aren't essential? Go ahead, leave a comment below, and if you guys want to know more about the Polygon Collosus N8E, click on the link in the description. It helps support the channel if you use that link to purchase this bike, or watch that video right there where I tell you a little bit more about why I started e-biking. Woo, there we go. Send it.